Picture this, you're the last one left after the squad gets taken out by literal AI, but you've been enjoying taking pot shots with your newly customized Arasaka F2000 a little too much and accidentally depleted your ammo. Now you're solo up against a group of enemies with just a Glock and a couple of mags left. Do you go forward here? Well, I did, and for once this actually ended positively for me and I was able to extract with the goods. This is Arena Breakout Infinite, a totally free-to-play extraction shooter on PC that just got this really epic Cyberpunk update along with its Season 2 Crimson Edge. And as a result of all of that new content, More Fun Studios reached out to sponsor this video. Because yeah, some of this new Cyberpunk related content is pretty freaking awesome. And if you're not super into extraction shooters, I do feel like this is the one to try. I mean, it's just a free download on PC from their website. There really is no barrier to entry here. And while the game does have familiar extraction shooter mechanics, which will definitely scare some of you, honestly these worried me, gear storage is a major mechanic, and before most games you have to equip and kit yourself out. And occasionally in those games, death means losing everything you have on you. If you're a hardcore player, you could definitely get deep into this, but I'm not. I suck at video games. So thankfully, this game has a ton of options for more casual players like me as well. Things like Secure Ops, where you don't lose all of your gear on death, and even other more casual game modes like Arsenal, where you swap weapons after getting kills with them. This game has a really nice selection of game modes, ranging from the ultra hardcore to relatively casual with respawns. I had tons of fun wrecking enemies in Team Deathmatch. I actually went on some good runs in Arsenal, and then occasionally we get stuck on this stupid Uzi that I just could not kill anyone with. But then you could also swap to some of the more serious modes, like the newly added duos, because everyone has at least one friend, right? I'm playing with a complete stranger here, and I think that's why I enjoyed Arena Breakout Infinite. You don't need to be an extraction shooter vet to have a ton of fun with this one, and this new Cyberpunk integration is surprisingly extensive. There are quite a few new weapon appearances to unlock. Playing again with my Arasaka F2000, me and the squad work our way to this armory. We come up against some enemy players on the way, but after dealing with them, we get to loot this armory for ourselves, and hidden within one of the locked doors that my teammate opened was just what I was looking for, an M110. Right before this game, I unlocked one of the new Cyberpunk skins for the M110, and as you can see, this game has a very in-depth weapon assembly system. You can customize almost every aspect of your weapons, and there is something just incredibly fun about this degree of customization and really personalization. Because there are so many options to pick from, what gear you find on other players is often pretty unique to them. And hey, since it's an extraction shooter, you can literally steal all of that gear for yourself as long as you can successfully take down those enemies. But here I had a specific mission in mind, so I was building out a nice silenced M110 DMR. I wanted to complete some of the new Cyberpunk 2077 missions, and I wanted to do this solo. It just seemed the best route. So this build was a really nice option to stay relatively stealthy from afar while still repping Night City. Arena Breakout Infinite has various missions that you could accept for rewards, and this Cyberpunk update added in a ton of new options. Some very valuable Cyberpunk loot can now be found in-game, but also more unique gameplay things like microchip enhancements that you could work towards. And scattered around the maps on some of these extraction modes are these brand new computers that have access to the black market. I've been beelining these with mixed success, so I want to try going into a solo op where everyone has to play without a team to access one of these computers. That was exactly what I was building out this M110 for, and I got pretty lucky here. I swung close to one and arrived to the computer quite quickly to do my business. But this was incredibly tense. Even from the onset, I could hear a ton of players moving around me. So even when just trying to get away for the first time, I started taking shots from afar. Thankfully, the M110 is very good at its job though, so I made quick work of that enemy. And all this ended up unfolding into something very lucky for me. I hear some more activity in the distance, and it turns out two players were fighting, and now one of them was chasing the other. I was in this perfect spot with a great weapon to clean this up and eventually take out both of those players. Little did I know, this would end up saving my life later on. As I was working towards extraction, I found a nice spot to take some free pot shots at passing players. This game has an extensive healing and damage system, and really I just wanted to be annoying to other players. I honestly didn't think I'd get many kills here. I mean, hey, free damage is always nice, except this wasn't free, and almost instantly someone else was taking pot shots at me. I was now wounded, but noticed a ton of enemies were approaching due to the noise from a nearby bunker. And of course, my M110 DMR sucks in closer quarter situations. Thankfully, I also had a Mox Glock as a sidearm, and just before, I looted some extended mags from that player. And thank God I did, because that extended mag that I'm using here is what allowed me to finish off all of these enemies. And there really is just something to a mock skinned Glock with extended mags that just feels very right for that gang. But like I mentioned before, you don't have to be an extraction shooter veteran to enjoy this or even complete these missions. Not all of the missions involve combat. That's part of what makes them so fun. It feels like side questing in a truly hectic open world sometimes. Like here, when you have to investigate several locations on the map to gain information about a new toxin for one of the Cyberpunk missions. You're going around really just trying to survive to complete this mission and progress to the next one, but all the while there's a ton of enemies around you and other human players. And sometimes the most fun I had in Arena Breakout Infinite involved killing 0 players. The maps here will have wandering NPCs of various types, including some special NPCs with better gear. Hecate was just added with Season 2 and is a real force to reckon with. You'll know when you come up against this one. Or there's Fred. I was playing solo here and really just wanted to loot as much as possible and extract. I was trying to build up my cash reserves after losing some pretty expensive weapons. And as I was running to an extraction point, I accidentally came up against Fred and his squad. This being a better geared group of enemy NPCs that I was thankfully able to make quick work of with a vector I looted earlier, but now my ante was massively upped. Fred carries a 250,000 Cohen FAL on him. This thing looks awesome, but after looting Fred's squad, I'm now walking around with nearly 1 million in loot. I gotta get out of here. Thankfully, there is an extraction point just nearby that I can get to, but there's one issue. It requires $7,500 to use it. Thankfully, I already had $7,100 on me, so I should be good, right? Just find $400 more around. Now, with me being ultra paranoid, because this is the most loot I've ever had in Arena Breakout Infinite, I make my way back above ground to look for some cash. I search for ages, finding absolutely nothing, and gradually have to move farther and farther from the extraction point. Until in the process, I accidentally stumble upon more human players. Thankfully, they don't see me right away, and I have a real choice here. Potentially sacrifice all of this loot, or take out a few people for a bunch of loot I can't even carry. So yeah, I started blasting. But like I said before, I suck at video games, and I didn't get the free insta-kills I thought. Thankfully, I still do land quite a few shots on these enemies, and likely did significant damage to their armor, so even if they're able to heal up some of their wounds, I'll still have an advantage when I come up against them again. But I'm in luck here. These players are now pinned down, and they don't know exactly where I am. They just heard shots coming off from a distance. So what they do is throw a few stuns, and I get several more shots on target as they try and make a run for it. Through this, they definitely identify where exactly I am, so I try to reposition and catch them off guard to finish this fight. But again, I only get a few more shots on target and completely lose visual on these enemies. At this point, my heart is absolutely pounding, and I haven't even killed another human this game. In the end, I make the business decision to run off to another nearby extraction point and sit here quietly until it unlocks. Intense moments like that are just a staple of Arena Breakout Infinite. In some of the more casual modes in particular, you can have a really nice back and forth shootout with enemies that just makes this entire experience a blast because it's tense, but it's still fun and rewarding. And a big part of this is just how many really interesting weapons and in-depth customization is available in this game. Like I mentioned earlier, Season 2 with Crimson Edge just recently went live. This includes several new game modes and other updates that the community desperately wanted, like that permanent duos mode and even some map overhauls, but the update also added in a bunch of new weapons. And while sadly, at points I was definitely on the receiving end of those new weapons, I also just wanted to have some fun by spending way too much on a cool lever action build. I had high hopes for this one. I figured I'd be taking out enemies from across the map, and I did, kinda. All the enemies I killed were NPCs, and I got carried by teammates. But honestly, a lot of the fun I had with this game was the ability to experiment with some of the more wacky setups on the more casual modes. Arena Breakout Infinite managed to strike a nice balance of serious enough that you do care and want to try in this game. Playing out your build or your strategy can take you very far, even if you don't have a ton of FPS acumen, but at the same time, you won't be breaking your keyboard over this game, at least not most of you. And between the Cyberpunk content as well as Crimson Edge, right now is a truly great time to jump in. So use my link in the description to download Arena Breakout Infinite for yourself. This is a major help to my channel and will take you right to the website to download the game, as it's not yet available on Steam. With that said though, hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all next time.